6 years after Breaking Bad ends, we finally get to learn what happens to Jesse Pinkman. And oh my gosh, Walter White is... I am not going to finish that sentence at all, or even address it from here on out. But this is a movie totally made for fans. El Camino, a Breaking Bad movie. Now, if you have never seen the show, or you're not a fan of the show, then there's really absolutely no reason that you would even want to watch this movie. But if you're seeing all the hype for it, and you're like, whoa, what is this? Is it actually even worth it? You need to watch Breaking Bad, the series, first. Because it is a rough watch, but it is really, really good. You may not like every season, you may not like every character, and I'm betting that you won't because you're not supposed to, but it is well worth the effort. And I came late to the game, so I didn't have to wait week after week for each episode to air. I got to binge all of the seasons at once. So that actually helped me a little bit because it was just one huge cohesive show for me. And I was like, ooh, this is awesome. Now, Jesse was my favorite character in the series. And I'm sure that he's probably the favorite for a lot of other people as well. And this is totally his movie. I mean, Aaron Paul as Jesse Pinkman, he just owns it. He does such a great job. And all throughout the show, I mean, I just love the growth that we see in him. And that I think is what really endeared me to his character and what made me even more excited to see him in this movie. Now, the movie itself is told in present and flashbacks, and what it's doing is it's filling in a lot of the gaps that we didn't necessarily get in that final season, especially with what was going on with Jesse in particular. The movie picks up right where the series left off, with Jesse driving away from Uncle Jack's in an El Camino. I'm so happy we get to see Badger and Skinny Pete. I mean, I just loved their interactions, and I love the level of friendship and caring and loyalty and just everything, the depth of their characters that they bring to it. I mean, it's just something that is very inspiring as far as friendships go. There is one odd thing in this that probably couldn't be avoided, but that is Jesse Plemons' character of Todd. When the last season ends, I mean, that was 6 years ago, physically 6 years ago, but the movie is picking up right where the series left off. But in these 6 years, Jesse Plemons is noticeably heftier than he was. I mean, he's 6 years older, so you can't even, fault him for all of that. I'm heavier from just a year ago, so I'm not pointing any fingers or shaming him. It's just that it's very odd that if you watched the old episodes and in preparation, kind of like I did for this movie, I watched some of the last season and especially the series finale, is that you get, it's fresh in your head that he was much skinnier. I mean, he's much younger also, but it's just very noticeable. Now, if there is a large gap of time, like if you haven't seen the last episode for quite a while and now you're watching this, it may not stand out to you and it may not even be bothersome. To me, it was just a little odd when I crammed them all together and got to see that difference. Like I said before, I love the performance that Aaron Paul gives as Jesse Pinkman. I mean, the trauma, the drive, just everything about him that he is conveying is so good and so powerful. And it's really why I liked him as a character to begin with. I mean, he's a fighter. He's scrappy and he doesn't put up with crap and he just keeps going, and he's also a man of integrity. I really think this is a great cap to the show. I mean, I think of it a little bit like the Downton Abbey movie or even Endgame to a certain degree, where we just get to see our beloved characters just shine in their element. And this one, again, like I've said, is Aaron Paul's movie. I mean, it is all about Jesse Pinkman. He is the one driving this show, and I'm riveted as it goes along. There are a few parts to the film that felt a little long or maybe a little slow. And I think typically that was in the flashback scenes where probably they went on just a little too much, and instead of extending them like they did, they could have trimmed them up a little bit, told the same amount of information, got the same feelings and everything across, but just moved it along just a tiny bit. Now, I'm sure also if you are a fan of Breaking Bad and you're watching this and you're like, oh, is this going to be in there? Are they going to talk about this? Or is this? It's probably going to leave something out that you found utterly important, or that you were just like, oh, I really hope they show this or they talk about this. And they only have 2 hours to do this in. And I think they did a pretty good job, but again, like I said, some of it was a little long. So maybe had they trimmed some out, they could have shown some other scenes or some other interactions. I don't know. It didn't feel like it was incomplete in the storytelling. And that's what I really appreciated, that it felt like I was getting all of my gaps filled in, and it was satisfying to me as a conclusion, as a wrap-up, as just a, okay, now I know what happens to Jesse. What happens to him in his life? What goes on? Does he make it? Does he not? I'm not going to tell you that. There is no sex or nudity, but there is profanity and some violence. I give El Camino, a Breaking Bad movie, 4.5 out of 5 couches. So who is your favorite character out of the show if you watched it? Well, I hope you did because you watched this entire review. But anyway, who's your favorite character in Breaking Bad? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for catching with me.